Obsession can make people do all sorts of things, like inspiring the design of a restaurant or the research of a historian.
When obsession overlaps with obscure Chicago history, you get this next story from CBS 2's Noel Brennan.
You know, when you kind of get into this, if you're a history nerd like me,
I'm feeling fine.
you don't know when to stop.
The statue is the star of this story,
Here she comes.
but the historian carries it from the start.
I also like telling the stories of Chicago that most people don't know they're there. So it's a really fun job.
Tim Samuelson is Chicago's cultural historian emeritus.
Emeritus is when you're supposedly retired, but you're really not.
His latest work digs into the history of his favorite watering hole.
The story of Gino's North is so Chicago.
All right, friends, this is the Gino special. I'm gonna put this
Gino's North in Edgewater is rooted in history,
fabulous restaurant.
and it revolves around a statue.
A lot of charm and a lot of history, yep.
Stephen Mendoza owns the place, where everybody knows her name.
We always knew that Snowdrop was above the fountain behind the bar.
This beautiful woman named Snowdrop.
She has been abused a little bit over time, I would say.
She's been here for quite some time, and I don't know what she went through before she got here.
The mystery is just unknown history.
This is one of the souvenir matchbooks that they gave out at the Snowdrop.
Tim uncovers the story of a Greek immigrant so obsessed with a Swedish statue called Snowdrop,
Frank Nichols' Snowdrop.
he names a cocktail bar after it in 1940.
Chicago's most exquisite cocktail lounge. Frank Nichols, in a way, was in love. And he, in designing the bar, made it a shrine to Snowdrop.
Decades later, Snowdrop becomes Gino's North. But the best-kept secret inside Chicago's best-kept secret
That's no Snowdrop.
is the impostor on a pedestal.
That's kind of like a piece of garden statuary that you get to put in your backyard.
Tim discovers statues were swapped after a previous owner did permanent damage.
One day he accidentally backed his car into her.
The original Snowdrop has been missing for nearly 40 years.
Realizing how important Snowdrop was to the story, I was determined to see Snowdrop put back. How am I going to locate such a sculpture? Where is it going to be? I don't know.
What seems a needle in a haystack is really just a statue in a statuary.
The Snowdrop,
She stands out in a crowded room,
right behind me.
a fiberglass snowdrop cast from the original mold at Chicago's Orlandi Statuary.
I'm the only guy in the country that you're going to find that has this.
Donnie Orlandi pulled her from the warehouse
This goes for about $1,100 wholesale.
at the request of a longtime customer.
I didn't think twice. I just bought her.
You bought it.
Sometimes the obvious is staring you right in the face and you totally don't see it.
Tim's coffee table is a temporary home.
My wife is very nice about this whole thing. She knows my obsessions.
Once he gets a hook in him about some obscure thing, he dives deep.
Barbara knows her husband, the historian,
All right, ready to go?
has to pick up the story
All right.
from here.
Watch your head. Ooh, boink. Well, we're taking Snowdrop. She is on the move. We're in the elevator of our apartment building. Why don't you get inside?
She doesn't belong in an apartment
Here we go.
or the back seat of a Prius.
Moving Snowdrop's a piece of cake.
Snowdrop deserves to go home.
I think he said that he was going to donate it to the bar.
I was kind of blown away.
Poor Snowdrop's nose is shoved right into the upholstery here. This makes a nice armrest for me.
Tim is an endless wonder of like stories and adventures.
He has done something that has taken Chicagoans back.
I was surprised.
Weight's not bad at all. That's the nice thing about Snowdrop is she's very portable.
A historian not only carries on the story,
Okay, let's see what happens.
he sculpts the perfect ending.
She looks beautiful. She fits in the space perfectly.
I think the light hitting it and everything is really, really nice. To the triumphant return of Snowdrop. Cheers.
In Edgewater, Noel Brennan, CBS 2 News.
Oh, boy. You might be wondering about the other Snowdrop statue, the impostor. She's still at Gino's North, currently sitting in a storage room, banished there until the owner figures out a permanent home.
Man, that was quite a journey for Snowdrop.
That's a patient wife, too.
Yes, that too.